Hello and welcome to another update video on Link. This is one of the first videos that I released that is a bit more beginner friendly. Quick heads up for everybody, in the future you will see here and there more beginner friendly videos. It's also marked on the thumbnail and the title. These are videos that are explaining a little bit more background about the Elliott wave structures, what I see on the chart, because sometimes the analysis, those rapid market updates, they can be quite rapid and it can be a little bit overwhelming for those who are new, and I often see questions in the comment section. So we want to evolve our style of videos here a little bit at MCO. Want to make sure the educational aspect is adequately covered. Also in the rapid market updates we're doing, there's not a full style tutorial, but these include a little bit more explanation. So would appreciate your feedback about the idea, any suggestions. Appreciate it. Let me know in the comments. So I want to start therefore on the daily time frame here for Link. The Link chart, I mean, as you probably know if you watched previous videos, Link has likely bottomed. Let's zoom out a little bit. Has likely bottomed in, June 23 it was. He had around $5 in a fourth wave. Now, a fourth wave is typically, it is a corrective pattern, usually part of a larger 5-wave cycle. The 5-wave cycle is typically the trending move. Okay, markets always breathe in and out, and a 5-wave cycle is typically what we're looking for on a long-term chart, so that we know that the market is really trending higher long-term. So we want to see that a 5th wave is really formed. Now, this is only one scenario. There is also the yellow scenario in which the market formed an ABC price top. So the rally from the start of the chart was a 3-wave move. It was a 3-wave move anyway. The question is just, was it an ABC structure? And we're now forming a larger ABC pattern to the downside. That is what happens very often on altcoin charts, because altcoins usually form ABC price tops. There are only a few charts that have really formed long-term 5-wave patterns. And the 5-wave pattern is clearly bullish long-term. There are only a few, and the 3-wave pattern is very questionable. It's not necessarily bearish, but it's questionable. It can evolve into all sorts of directions, basically. Now, when we track here the yellow scenario, I personally prefer the yellow scenario. Just I have to be aligned with probabilities, right? That doesn't mean I expect the breakdown now. No, because also in the yellow scenario, higher prices are suggested and possible. But please note that while this could have been a 4th wave pullback in a larger 5-wave move, it could also be that this was an A wave. A waves can be typically 5 waves or 3 waves. In this case, it looks more like a 3-wave move down to me. If it's a 3-wave move down in an A wave, then this is part of a so-called flat correction, or it can be. Yeah? A flat correction is a 3-wave move down in the A wave. The B wave often overshoots, especially in crypto, which means it would break above the high. And then we can get a 5-wave move down in wave C. That's a flat correction. You see that highlighted in yellow on the chart. 3 waves down in A, B, C. In B, the B wave is always a corrective move as well. These are the corrections in corrections. And today one of our members asked me, is there a limit to how far B waves can overshoot? And the honest answer is no. They don't really have a target. Especially when they overshoot, that they don't really have a target. I mean, there are levels to watch, of course, but there is not really a limit. Now, technically, they say in theory, it shouldn't really retrace more than 138% of the A wave down. So let's put that onto the chart. That would be $131. That would be the theoretical maximum. But honestly, in practice, I've seen higher B waves. Yeah, it's possible, okay? It's just rare. But typically, I would say, this is kind of a theoretical limit, the 138% retracement of the A wave down. So you take the retracement tool, right? You measure the length of the A wave, and then, it's the 138% retracement. So, and therefore, on the larger time frame, I mean, I'm because of probabilities, I'm looking at this primarily at the yellow scenario. It could be white, which is the 5-wave pattern. In the short term, they both move in the same direction, as long as this support area holds, which is between $6.90 and $10.71. That's a standard Fibonacci support area. And it's based on the initial 5-wave rally to the upside that we saw, right? So after the correction finished there, we saw 5 waves up. Now, if we get 5 waves up, it typically means the trend goes in that direction. So this could be the wave 1 of the 5th wave, because 5 or a wave 5 is usually a 5-wave move itself, or it could just be the A wave of the B wave. As we just learned, an A wave can be 5 waves or 3 waves. If it's 5 waves, it's even more clearly bullish. So, and then we see here another flat correction with an overshooting B wave. I just explained that. And the support area is measured based on the length of the A wave. So take the retracement tool, you measure the length of the A wave, and normally we say for a wave 2 and the B wave, the support area is kind of the same. Typically the 78.6 retracement level is relevant, the 61.8 and the 50%. So as long as we hold above the 78.6 retracement level, the overall focus can be on higher prices. Below that level, the structure isn't invalidated, but the probabilities are starting to shift. Now we know that in a wave 2 or a B wave, often there's a lot of fear. I think down here we had the fear and greed index was pretty bad, pretty fearful. But any break below support is needed to confirm that a more substantial top has already been made. At the moment, I'm leaning higher because we're holding above support and we formed the 5-wave move up. 2 factors that tell us that the market can try to go higher. So this gives us a good idea of the larger time frame. But have we actually bottomed in this B wave or the wave 2? That is something that will need to be answered over the coming sessions. Again, what are we looking for in terms of evidence? We are looking for another 5-wave advance, right, from the low. Maybe we already have a 5-wave advance. We're going to take a look at that on the smaller time frame. But overall, I mean, we have a target area here, and that is what the market should reach over the coming months, ideally. How do we calculate that? Again, we take the length of the A wave, and we have a potential low of the B wave. So we know that the A wave and the C wave tend to have a similar length. Sometimes C is a bit longer. This is the box, 161.8 extension to 100% extension. And this is the standard projection, yeah. And especially the 100% extension level is relevant for these C waves. And again, it should be a 5-wave move up. So whether we then, after we complete this potential C wave, get another higher low and another higher high, that can only be answered in the future, right? Only by someone with a crystal ball. But we have to pay attention to it when we get there. Now let's also take a look at the shorter time frame. This was the daily time frame, or 2-day actually. But now for anybody who's interested in the micro patterns, two scenarios on the smaller time frame. I can make a case. So this is the April low. I can make a case already for in the yellow scenario here on the smaller time frame. The yellow scenario is the scenario in which we already saw 5 waves up from the April low. Again, that's potentially bullish. We need 2 scenarios always. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can interpret it that way. Don't like very much the proportions of the move. The reason is that the 3rd wave is quite short. Yeah. But again, there are different ways how I could measure that actually, how I could define that. It's a bit tricky. Also with the yellow scenario, I could, for example, say that the initial 1-2 setup was here. So it's not very clear because we don't have impulsive price action, right? We're dealing mainly with corrective movements here in the subwave. So not super clear. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into this to confuse anybody, but essentially you can interpret it as 5 waves if you really want to. Sorry, apologies. Now, if this was really a 5-wave move up already, the pullback now is a wave 2. Wave 1 up, wave 2 down. And that gives us a standard support area. Whether this will be tested or not, again, we will have to see. Again, essentially here, the 78.6 retracement level is important again. It's holding for now. Yeah, it's holding for now. So as long as we're holding above it, again, it doesn't mean we have to test it. It's not a target. It's a support area. Just important that support isn't broken. So these are the parameters for this wave 2 in yellow. It means the risk is there that we form a corrective pullback in a wave 2 as an A, B, C structure. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. Can still happen. Nothing telling me at the moment that this pathway to the downside is being invalidated. When would we get invalidation? If this wave 2 bounce, again, C wave is a 5-wave move, yeah, and therefore we need a wave 1 down and a wave 2 up. But this wave 2, based on Elliott wave rules, must not break above the beginning of the move to the downside. So that would be no progress to the downside, and it would be invalidation. And that would shift probabilities towards the white scenario, one more high. And that level is here at $17.17. We get a break above that level. I would imagine the price goes to the next swing, next swing high, previous swing high, structural resistance around the $20 area. In this scenario, we get one more high. 1, 2. This is a diagonal pattern. 3, 4, 5. It kind of makes sense as diagonal pattern because the third wave is an ABC structure, like the wave 1 as well. Yeah. And in this C wave, we have 5 waves in the third wave. That makes sense as well. So it can be counted quite well as 5 waves still in the making. I just don't have any confidence in the microstructures we see here. I see a lot of messy charts at the moment. But again, we have a lower support area for the yellow scenario and an upper support area for the white scenario. So as long as we're holding this upper support area, we could watch for the white scenario. Yeah, and it's between $13.94 and $15.36. Between the 61.8 retracement and 38.2 retracement of the third wave to the upside. So the upper support area is important so that we can distinguish these two scenarios. Surely it could be either one of them, but both are bullish at the moment. I think that is the main point. And it's also important to understand what is the lowest support. I mean, you know, even if we break below upper support, the chart could still be bullish. That's very important. We just need to understand where does the bullish thesis break, and that's the $11.42 level. So in the very short term, I think the focus is on whether the upper support holds and whether the price breaks above this recent high to invalidate the 1-2 setup to the downside. Yeah, I hope that update helps you get an understanding of the relevant parameters here on this chart. Again, important is we have already 5 waves up to complete in one scenario at least. The structures won't get much clearer than that. I mean, this is already pretty clear for an altcoin chart. In the very short term, within the correction, there is some messiness here at the moment. Structures shift and change on the micro level. But that is normal because the market is volatile, but it won't get much clearer than that. Yeah? You always have 2 scenarios. It is quite easy when you have 2 scenarios that are bullish. Yeah? I mean, nobody can guarantee they play out. It's all about probabilities, and they can shift. Surely if one bullish case gets invalidated, then the overall bullishness, probabilities for the bullish scenarios reduce. But still, we have very clear parameters to watch. That's the update on Link. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.